Players having multiple nationalities is pretty common these days. For example, everyone knows that Bukayo Saka and Dele Alli have Nigerian origins. Everyone knows Jerome Boateng has Ghanaian origins. And everyone knows that Diego Costa has Brazilian origins. We all knew that, right? Well, if you didn't, then get ready for even more surprises, because we're about to see 25 footballers with surprising origins you didn't know about. First up is Cole Palmer. Palmer looks like your regular white British boy born in Manchester, but what if I told you he's of Caribbean descent? No jokes, his grandfather and father are Afro-Catitian, and Palmer himself has embraced his roots a lot of times. He has the flags of England and St. Kitts and Nevis on his boots. And you guys remember this video, don't ya? The Chelsea man certainly loves being Caribbean. And he's not the only England international with Caribbean roots. His Chelsea teammate Raheem Sterling also falls in the same category. And in his case, he wasn't just born to Caribbean parents, he was born in Jamaica. He could have represented the Jamaica national team, but he chose England. And in 2021, he memorably led them to their first major final since 1966. Now, from one player who chose England to one who rejected them. We're talking about Jamal Musala. Yeah, you know that Musiala is a German player born in Germany, and you probably also know that he has ties to England. But what if I told you that this guy could easily have pledged allegiance to 4 different countries? I'll break it down for you. So, Jamal Musiala was born to a British-Nigerian father and a German mother with Polish roots. He was born in Germany, but he moved to England at the age of 7. So yeah, apart from Germany, if Musiala wanted to play for England, Nigeria or Poland, he could very easily have. And for the Nigerians watching and wondering why they don't recognize his last name since his father is Nigerian, well, that's because Jamal decided to use his mother's last name. And he's not even the only player to use his mother's last name. Ross Barkley did too. Barkley was born in Liverpool and has played a few games for the England national team, but I'm sure many of you will be surprised to know that he's of Nigerian descent. His dad, Peter Afanga, is Nigerian, and as the story goes, he abandoned Ross and his mum when he was just a year old, which is why the former Chelsea man goes by his mother's last name. And this whole talk about abandonment reminds us of Memphis Depay. He too was abandoned by his dad some years back, but they've since reconciled, which is why you see the Dutchman trying to connect with his Ghanaian roots. The former Man United man was born to a Dutch mother and a Ghanaian father, and in fact, his last name is Ghanaian. Let's now look at Depay's international teammate Virgil van Dijk. The iconic defender was born to a Dutch father and an Afro-Surinamese mother. Now, considering Suriname was once a Dutch colony, this can't be too shocking. Here's what might surprise you though, Van Dijk also has Chinese origins. His maternal great-grandfather emigrated from China to Suriname around 1920, and in fact, his mum still has a Chinese surname, Chin Fo Siu. That's very interesting, isn't it? You know what's also super interesting? The fact that Cristiano Ronaldo has other origins apart from Portugal. The man is perhaps the most famous Portuguese that has ever lived, so it's hard to picture him having any other origin, but well, he does. The 5-time Ballon d'Or winner has African origins. No, we're not kidding. His paternal great-grandmother is African. She was born in São Vicente, Cabo Verde. She only moved to Madeira, where Cristiano himself was born at the age of 16. So, in another universe, Ronaldo would have been playing in the Africa Cup of Nations instead of the Euros. Do you know who else we can say that about? Kylian Mbappe. With the way he's going, he looks destined to become the greatest French football player of all time, but he also has very African origins. He was born in France to an Algerian mum and a Cameroonian dad, who has Nigerian roots. So, apart from France, which he chose, Mbappe could easily have played for Algeria, Nigeria, or Cameroon. Reports say that his dad tried to make him play for the Cameroon national team, but they asked for money which he didn't have, so he dumped them and asked his son to focus on France. I'm pretty sure Cameroonians still regret this, because just imagine Mbappe playing for Cameroon. He would have elevated them so much. Anyway, the former PSG man is definitely in tune with his African origins. He and his dad visited the Central African country in 2023 and did some charity work there. What about Christian Pulisic? The American star was born in Pennsylvania, but he's of Croatian and Italian descent. His paternal grandmother was Italian, while his paternal grandfather was born in Croatia. His last name, Pulisic, is Croatian. And speaking of Croatian names reminds us of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The iconic striker was born in Sweden and represented Sweden throughout his career. But did you know that he has both Croatian and Bosnian origins? His mum is from Croatia, while his father's from Bosnia and Herzegovina. When they were much younger, they emigrated separately to Sweden, where they met, got married, and then gave birth to Zlatan. So, just imagine for a second if Zlatan had gone on to represent Croatia on the international stage. Who knows? Maybe the combination of him and Luka Modric would have won Croatia the World Cup in 2018. Speaking of the 2018 World Cup, let's look at a couple of guys who won that trophy. N'Golo Kante was born in France, but his parents are Malian. And then we also have Paul Pogba, who was also born in France but to Guinean parents. His older brothers, Florentin and Matthias Pogba, who are also professional footballers themselves, were born in Guinea, but their parents migrated to France just before they had Paul. Another Frenchman with origins that will surprise you is Michael Olise. First, many fans are usually shocked when they find out that he's French, and that's understandable because he was born in London. But here's the thing, he has several quite different origins. His father's Nigerian while his mum is French-Algerian. So, considering that he's still not made a senior appearance for any national team yet, he can still decide to play for any one of France, England, Algeria, and Nigeria. He seems to be leaning towards France though. Despite having grown up in England, he chose to represent the France under-18s and under-21s, and will be representing France at the 2024 Olympics on home soil. Eduardo Camavinga, however, has since pledged his allegiance to France, but even he had other options. He was born in a refugee camp in Angola to Angolan Congolese parents, but when he was 2 years old, he and his family moved to France. And since we're talking about French ballers, we could just not leave out Antoine Griezmann. You might be surprised to find out that the World Cup winner has German and Portuguese origins, but he sure does. His father's family migrated from Germany to France very many years ago, while his mother's of Portuguese descent. His maternal grandfather even played professional football in Portugal in his days. In his early years, Griezmann would often travel to Portugal on holiday, so you can say he's very connected with his roots. Let's now head over to Belgium to look at their all-time top scorer Romelu Lukaku. Did you know that he has Congolese origins? His father's from Congo and even represented the Congo national team. But I promise you, this is not half as surprising as finding out that Kevin De Bruyne has some African links. For real? His mother is Belgian, yeah, but she was born in Burundi and she lived in Côte d'Ivoire and the UK at different times in her childhood. So, he really could have represented Burundi. We're sure you never knew this about the Belgium captain. You probably also didn't know about David Alaba's multiple origins. Yeah, you probably know that the Austrian national team captain was born to a Nigerian father. His middle and last names, Olatokunbo Alaba, are Yoruba, from the southwestern part of Nigeria. But what you probably didn't know is that he also has Asian origins. His mother is Visayan from the Philippines, and she only emigrated there to work as a nurse in Europe. Alaba's club teammate Antonio Rudiger also has African origins. His mother's Sierra Leonean, and the defender often embraces his African roots. He was seen flying the Sierra Leone flag while celebrating his Champions League win with Real Madrid. He's also visited the West African country a couple of times. Let's now also look at Marcus Rashford. He was born in Manchester and has represented England in a couple of tournaments, including the World Cup and the Euros. But did you know that he has Caribbean blood? He has Jamaican origins from his father's side and Caucasian origins from his mother's side. Up next is one of the most sought-after strikers in Europe right now, Alexander Isak. He was born in Sweden and plays for the Sweden national team, but his parents are from Eritrea, a country in East Africa. Another famous European striker with African origins is Mario Balotelli. He was born Mario Barua to Ghanaian parents in Italy. The last name he now goes by, Balotelli, was adopted from his foster parents, whom he started to live with when he was 3 years old. But even though he was born in Italy, Balotelli didn't gain Italian citizenship until he turned 18. He then went on to represent the Italy national team at both youth and senior levels. Let's now head back to England. Did you know that Declan Rice has Irish origins? His paternal grandparents are from the Republic of Ireland, and the Arsenal man even started out representing the Ireland national team before he switched to England in 2019. And he's not the only one. Jack Grealish also has Irish origins. 3 of his grandparents are from different parts of the Republic of Ireland, so the Man City man has Irish blood coursing through his veins. And just like Rice, Grealish also started out playing for the Ireland youth teams before then switching to his country of birth in 2016. Let's now wrap this up with arguably the greatest player ever, Lionel Messi. His love for Argentina is always so evident, and you can see it whenever he wears that white and blue. But what if I told you he had other origins? Remember back in the 2010s when people used to say Messi should have represented Spain along with his Barcelona teammates? Guess what? He really could have if he wanted to. The Argentina national team captain is of Spanish and Italian descent from his father's side, and Italian descent from his mother's side, so he definitely could have represented any of Italy and Spain. Well, he chose Argentina, and although it hurt for a long time, it eventually paid off. There you go, guys. 25 footballers with surprising origins you didn't know about. Do you have any more names and origins that will surprise us? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video.